Today, we're diving deep into the strategy of one of Nigeria's biggest players, Access Bank. We're going to deconstruct their playbook to figure out how they not only survive, but actually win in one of the toughest banking markets in Africa.
So that's the big question, right? How do you thrive in an environment like that? Well, it's not luck, and it's not just about money. It's about having a killer strategy. So let's pull back the curtain and see how they do it.
But first, to really get what makes their success so impressive, you have to understand the battlefield. The Nigerian banking sector is, well, it's a gauntlet. You've got constant digital disruption changing the rules, a regulatory maze that's super complex, customer demands that are shifting all the time, and, of course, just ferocious competition. It's a pressure cooker for sure. So yeah, let's start there. In Section 1, the banking battleground. We've got to understand this crazy, turbulent landscape to really appreciate the genius behind the strategy. Okay, so now that we know the lay of the land, let's get into their playbook. In Section 2, we'll kick things off with their first big strategy, leveraging their unique internal strengths. So, a huge part of their game plan is to build a fortress. But we're not talking about ordinary bricks here. We're talking about unique internal assets. Things like their own proprietary tech, a super skilled workforce, a strong company culture. You know, the stuff that competitors can't just go out and buy. And this whole fortress idea, it's actually a classic business theory called the resource-based view, or RBV. The idea is simple. Your real long-term advantage comes from what you have on the inside. But there's a catch. Your resources have to pass the VRIN test. They have to be valuable, rare, hard to imitate, and basically non-substitutable. The paper we're exploring today traces this right back to Jay Barney, who really laid this all out in 1991. And this quote just nails it. Your competitive edge comes from using those special internal resources that no one else can copy. But here's the thing. Having a strong fortress is great, but what happens when the ground outside starts shaking? That brings us to Section 3, adapting to change. This is all about how the bank handles everything the market throws at it. So, if the first strategy is building a fortress, this one is like being a master ship captain navigating a hurricane. The research shows that Access Bank isn't just sitting still, it's constantly adjusting the sails, reworking its services, reacting to new regulations or economic shifts, and most importantly, listening to what its customers actually need. It's all about being nimble. And you guessed it, there's a powerful theory for this too, the dynamic capabilities framework. This actually builds on that first idea. It says it's not enough to just have great resources. You need the ability to change them up, to reconfigure them on the fly. It's about being strategically flexible when things get crazy. As the guys who came up with this framework pointed out, and our source paper highlights this, it's all about adapting to environments that are changing fast. And in a market like Nigerian banking, you can see how that's not just a nice to have, it's absolutely essential to survive. Okay, so Access Bank has a strong core, and it's super adaptable. But there's a third piece to this puzzle, and it's a big one. Let's jump into Section 4, creating new markets. This is where the real innovation happens. See, this is a total mindset shift. Instead of just fighting tooth and nail with competitors for the same customers, Access Bank basically acts like an explorer. They're leaving the crowded, known world of banking to find new, untouched islands, tapping into markets nobody else is serving, and cooking up brand new solutions. And this explorer mindset has a name. It's called the Blue Ocean Strategy. The idea is you want to get away from the red oceans, which are bloody from all the competitors fighting, and create your own blue ocean, a new, uncontested market space where you make the competition totally irrelevant because you're playing a different game. As Kim and Mawborn, the brains behind this strategy, put it, it's all about creating those new, untapped market spaces. This is the engine that lets you grow beyond what everyone else is doing. All right, so we've got 3 powerful strategies. But the real magic, the key insight from the paper we're looking at today, is how they all fit together. And that brings us to the grand finale, Section 5, the secret integration model. Right, so we have the fortress, the agile ship, and the explorer. But they aren't just 3 separate ideas. Think of them more like pieces of a much bigger, much more powerful puzzle. The paper argues that the real secret sauce for Access Bank is how these strategies are woven together into one seamless system. And this gives us what the paper calls the Strategic Integration Model, or SIM for short. It combines everything we've talked about into 3 pillars. Integrated resource innovation, which is all about making your core strengths even stronger, adaptive market resilience, which is your flexibility, and innovation-driven market creation, which is about finding those blue oceans. Let's decode this thing. First up, integrated resource innovation. That's built on the resource-based view. In simple terms, always be upgrading your fortress. Next, adaptive market resilience. That comes from dynamic capabilities. The lesson, be the captain that can handle any storm. And finally, innovation-driven market creation. That's pure blue ocean strategy. The goal, stop fighting over the same old territory and go create your own. This is the whole formula, all working together. So here's the bottom line. Winning in a market this competitive isn't about having one silver bullet strategy. It's about having a holistic system. According to this analysis, Access Bank's success comes from this beautiful balance between its internal strengths, its external adaptability, and its constant drive for bold innovation. They all feed each other. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on, and it applies way beyond banking. Take a look at your own world, your industry, your career, your passions. What are the untapped blue oceans that are just sitting there, waiting for someone like you to discover them?